Yo, it's your boy Rick Bell, and when I want to hear some real shit, I listen to Conceitednobodi. They keep it 100.
Couple of nobodies you should fucking listen to.
I just caught the 40, I might let it bang on them. I might rip my heart, I pour out all my pain on them. I might wanna shine, cop a couple chains on them. I might wanna stun and pull up in that Range Rover. Half a pint of lean, pour up some more.
I'm from Queens. Yeah, that's kind of why I named it the Blaque Resource Network too.
Okay. So now when you say you're from Queens, what part of Queens, for people that don't know?
Springfield Gardens.
Springfield Gardens?
Yeah.
And your family is originally from Queens?
Yeah.
Like, you guys have been here since the country started type? Or?
No. My parents are from the West Indies. I've been here, so I was born in America,
right.
yeah.
So where are your parents from?
My mother's from Jamaica. My father's from Trinidad.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah, okay.
When do you see that?
So what's that like growing up in that household, in a Jamaican and Trinidadian household?
I mean, it's the only household I've ever grown up in, so, that's just a part of who I am.
I would imagine, like, culturally, Jamaicans and Trinidadians are, like, there's a lot of similarities. I'm Haitian myself, so I understand, like, there's little, like, nuanced differences.
Right.
So what are some of the things that, growing up, like, definitely was, like, from the Jamaican side of your family, and then, like, definitely from the Trinidadian side of your family?
Yeah, that's nice. That's a good question. I have to think about that. You are who you are and don't realize where you get it from sometimes. I would say that I gravitate more to the Jamaican side of my family. I'm not as in touch with the Trinidadian side of my family until maybe I'm in a Trinidadian space and I'm still able to identify stuff. I'm like, of course I know what that is. Of course, so I mean, I can speak more about that.
Then. So, like, your language, like, you lean more towards the Jamaican side?
Yeah.
Okay, that's cool. So, I mean, growing up, I'm guessing your parents were born here, or they came from the islands? No,
they were born in their country, Jamaica, Trinidad. Yeah.
So, I mean, as any Caribbean, West Indian kid, I know your parents have been really heavy on education and.
Of course, the Cosby Show kind of spoiled everything for everybody, right?
So, tell us about your childhood growing up. I mean, is it a really strict household? Tell us about that.
So my mother is a respiratory therapist, a respiratory nurse, and my father is a physician assistant. So, of course they wanted me to go into the medical field. That would be their dream. Right, of course. So, that would be their dream. So of course there was just a heavy emphasis on education growing up. I did go to Catholic school, as did my brother. So, that's just kind of the British way. It's just a heavy, education, and they came here for a purpose, right? So I have to make sure that they didn't come here for no reason, right?
Yeah. So, what are some of the things like did you end up being a doctor?
I did not. I did go to school for hemodialysis for a time because there was a time in my early 20s where I was lost. And my father was just like, I don't know, we're going to send you to this school and you're going to learn how to do dialysis. I went, I completed the program. I did great. There was no way I was ever going to do the internship. It wasn't happening. Yuck.
Yeah, you just didn't like it. Huh?
No.
Okay. So dialing back, growing up, where did you go to junior high school?
I went to St. Catherine of Siena. I went to elementary school and junior high school, Catholic school.
Is that the one on Jamaica Avenue?
No, it's on. That's like Baisley. It's kind of near Linden and Baisley.
Is it still there?
Linden and no, they closed down maybe 5-6 years ago.
Okay, and then what would you say about your Catholic school upbringing? Is that an education that you appreciate? Do you remember those years? Anything you can tell us about that?
Yeah, of course I remember those years. I mean, I can speak more of the teachers, and it was an all Black school with mostly white teachers, so and I think that's probably the most. I don't know the other public schools around here what that was like, but it just kind of, I look at it now and kind of how that shapes your education and having Black teachers and not having Black teachers. So, you're in the middle of Jamaica, Queens, and the people that are teaching you are not from the community. So I do remember that a lot growing up in the school.
Do you think those teachers had a positive influence on you throughout those years?
There's some teachers that of course did, but I can't say that I have a favorite teacher growing up in general.
Gotcha. Yeah. Gotcha. Okay. Now, during those years, are you coming home and your parents are like hitting you with more schoolwork? Did you have those type parents?
Yes, I did. We still had education classes on Saturdays. Yes.
Okay, so what's some things you had to do as a child?
We still had to, my dad, like, and my neighbor actually, and I think this is it. Yeah, like it was a Jamaican block that we lived on. Like my neighbor, I remember one summer, where all of the kids on the block, if you memorized, every state and every capital, he took you to Great Adventure. And the next summer was, if you memorized all of the capitals for South America, he took you to Great Adventure. So that was, you know what I mean? Like it was always something like that. Not all, but I know I went. Not all. I don't know.
Can't see anybody else.
Yeah, I went.
Okay, all right. That's pretty dope.
Yeah, it is.
Neighborhood getting involved that way.
Yeah, it really is.
That's pretty dope. So
shout out to Mr. Langer.
Shout out to Mr. Yeah. Okay. Are you still keep in contact?
I don't. I've seen his family now and then. He has children that are a little bit younger than I am, but I know they still live where we used to live over there on Farmers.
Is that something you see yourself doing in the future?
That would be great. You know, I feel like communities are a little different now.
Okay.
Kids don't come outside as much. I don't really see the kids on my block as much.
Right.
And I know a lot of people blame that on technology, but I don't think it's only technology. I think that we're just more afraid of everything. Now we've kind of been pumped with fear. So that would be great. I do try to be involved in the children's life of, you know, family friends or cousins or nieces and nephews. So I would like to be that type of person for reasons like that. You know, that's what I had growing up.
So you transition out of Catholic school, you're coming into public school. What's that like? I mean,
I knew that's where you were going with this.
Yeah, it's gotta be a culture shock. High school is really tough.
It was a huge culture shock because I went from this small little elementary school going to school with the same people. Same people from first grade to 8th grade, right? And then you had a uniform. You never had to wear your own clothes. So there was never that. I think you were judged on like if you had a JanSport or not. You know what I mean? Like, and then you go to Jackson.
Yeah, shout out to Jackson.
Which was not one of the better schools in Southeast Queens.
And definitely, like, for the era that you went in,
you
know.
In the 90s.
The 90s was a rough time.
In general, in New York. Yeah.
You know, in the neighborhood altogether.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, just crime rate in New York in general.
Sure. A lot of the rap music reflects that.
Yeah.
You gotta go back and listen to it.
Yeah.
So, what's your experience? You're a 9th grader coming to Andrew Jackson. It's a big, scary school. Tell us about that.
That school was awful.
Oh, man.
It was awful. It was very difficult for me to adjust to, first of all, you know, we were in 9th grade, so everybody was older, right? It's like adults. And it was not a very cared for school, and that you can just feel that all around, right? So it was a hard transition. I didn't know how to dress right. I didn't know about these older boys. I didn't know kind of anything. And I didn't.
Was it kind of school that you went to, all girls school?
No. It was a mixed school, but I'm saying I was in 9th grade. Yeah. So all of the students are anywhere from 13 to 19. Sure. You know what I mean? So you're the youngest there. And, you know, so I just wasn't, I wasn't really used to that.
So how long did you stay in Jackson for?
I stayed there for 2 years.
2 years.
Yeah.
So what's the catalyst? What makes you leave Jackson?
So you know, I've said this before. It just didn't work out.
So that's when you told your parents like, "Hey, mom, dad, it's not gonna work out."
No, I think it was that I just was failing. You know, it was I had some problems with some of the girls I went to the school, and I think my mom came up to the school, and the teacher was just like, "Yo, this is not for her, man. She's gonna fail if, you know, she stays in the school." And then that was it. My dad had to move. I think he lived in the Bronx at the time, and he had to move a couple blocks away from Martin Van Buren just so I can go to that school.
Okay.
So,
wow.
yeah.
Parents, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good look.
Yeah.
You come into Van, now you say your dad lived in the Bronx. So your parents and your mom and dad weren't together?
No, they weren't together anymore.
Okay. And then so what's that like? You grew up in a single parent household?
I wouldn't say it was a single parent. I consider single parent when the dad is not involved, and my father is very involved. Yeah.
Okay. So you don't feel like you missed out on anything?
I mean, life would have been different, of course, but I don't know what that is. You know, my father was there. I knew where to find him. It's not like he was missing or something like that. I still had a relationship with my father growing up.
That's what's important. Right?
Yeah.
So you get to Van. At this point, it's another new school.
Yeah.
How do you feel then? Like,
That school was fine. You know, Jackson kind of made me a little tougher.
Yeah.
So then I got into that school and it was like, this school was really corny. Like, what? Yeah, like, what up? And so, but for me, it was better. You know, I didn't do much in that school. I don't know not one person that went there. I didn't make any friends. I didn't do anything in that school. I just kind of.
High school wasn't like, for a lot of people, high school is that like pivotal time in their lives. You wouldn't.
I got nothing from high school, man.
All right. So you leave high school now, you're 18, 19. What's one of the first moves in the world that you're doing?
I think I went to college right after that for a little bit, but that didn't work out too well. And then I took a few years off and I went back to college.
Okay. And what would you say, like, what was going on in your life in that time period that made you feel like it didn't work out well?
College?
Yeah.
I didn't know what I wanted to do, and I just didn't like school. I just never appreciated that structure. I didn't thrive in those kind of settings. Okay. So I tried to go to school. I paid for it. I saved up my money. I worked. I think back then I worked at Anton's. I worked at
Anton's?
I did. I worked there for a long time, maybe like 6 years.
Wow.
I worked at Anton's. I think I worked at GameStop. The one next to Queen Center Mall.
Oh, yeah, I went to high school over there.
Yeah, I worked there. I did. I used to work there. Right at the corner.
Next to the McDonald's?
Yep. I worked right in there. It was a nice, easy job.
Okay.
So, I saved my money and I tried, but it was nothing. I got nothing from it.
So, so you say you leave college. What are the things you do during those in-between years?
I worked. I had some jobs. I worked at a school as a receptionist. I kind of did this. I kind of did that. I was working at Anton's. And then I worked at Anton's so long, I knew that if I stayed there any longer, that I would never do anything else.
A lot of people say that about Anton.
It's a good starter job. It pays well. And then, it's not for everyone long term. Some people are still there that were there before and that works for them. That's fine. But I knew that that's not what I wanted to do, but I could see how I would just be comfortable, with it. And that's just not what I wanted. So I just started Googling stuff and I ended up, finding this performing arts school in Colorado. And I just applied. I applied and they called me in a week and they were like, you want to come out? And they sent me a plane ticket and I worked out there for a few months,
So you just flew out of Colorado?
I just flew out to Colorado.
Okay. So now you get to Colorado,
what's
that experience like? This is a whole new place, whole new state.
Yeah, it was no black people. It was fine. I liked it.
Freak out about you going?
Not really. It was awfully random. I don't remember them freaking out. Although knowing them now, I don't know how they let me kind of do that.
Yeah.
But I was like, all right, sounds good. I don't know. Have fun. So I went out there for a few months. That was good for the most part. Everyone tried to be friendly enough. It was a culture shock for both me and them.
Now you said to perform in art school. What are you doing there exactly?
I was just a camp counselor at the time. Okay. But I was, already had an interest in music by then. So, it was a good fit for just understanding young performing artists.
Now, is this the first time you camp counselor? Is this for young or
high school? Yeah.
So this is the first time you're dealing with kids and like you doing the community building and stuff like that?
Yeah.
Okay.
For sure.
That's dope. So you do the performance art thing. Are they teaching you anything or are you just getting paid?
So you can take free classes and it was a higher end performing arts program. It was in the mountains, in Steamboat Springs, Colorado, which is, a very expensive town. So most of the kids there were, well off, or were there on scholarships, for their high school program or whatever it is.
Now, how do you feel about that? Coming out of Jackson, going to and now seeing
it was interesting. It was interesting. It was like, okay, my dad is an NBC news anchor and, the teachers, I teach at Juilliard and this and that. And, I just didn't have all of those experiences, but, I felt like it was more of a shock for them because they were just like, wow, my dad likes John Legend. I don't know why you say that to me. Okay. Can you put together a gospel brunch for us? Well, you've never sang a gospel song my whole time. So it was a lot of teaching that I had to do, but everyone meant well overall, and not everyone were closed off like that. I did make some friends in Colorado.
So you leave Colorado. You still talk to anybody from there?
I do.
Oh,
I do.
That's cool.
I do.
You leave Colorado, come back to New York. Now you got your, performing arts experience under the belt.
Yeah.
What's next on the Aleeia?
I went to Queensboro Community College.
Shout out to Queensboro.
Yeah, and I went to their performing arts program.
Okay. What did you major at? What's
music program. Mm-hmm.
So like when you say music, because music is so vast, are you doing the business?
I was in music theory.
Okay.
But I took most of the performance classes, the singing classes. I'm a singer.
So you're like a music scientist, like all the.
I wouldn't say I'm a music scientist, but I am a singer.
You're a singer.
I am.
Okay. Now, is singing something that you always wanted to do as a child, or?
Yeah.
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 Okay, so that's like your initial first inspiration is like.
I would say so.
Okay. And as a little girl, what is it? Like, did you see yourself as being like the Whitney Houston?
That's it right there. I mean, why not, right? Because we grew up at least I grew up in the 80s, and she was probably the first person I remember. She was young, she was pretty, she could sing, everybody loved her. So she's most singers from the 80s inspiration.
Awesome. And so in Colorado, you're teaching these kids how to sing, or?
We did sing and stuff because I was in charge of like the extra activities we had to kind of come up with them.
Now, I know you told me that you do, you have a singing academy, right? Like where?
I do. Prototype Music.
Okay. And so is that inspired from your trip from Colorado where you come back?
I never really put it together, but I guess so, because that is when I started working with youth in music, and I kind of always did it in some form, since then.
You're able to get like the foundational understanding in Queensboro, and you use that to then do what? To come out into the world and
after Queensboro, I started to pursue a music career.
Okay, so what's that? Tell us about that.
Yeah, Aleeia Music was my name. It was cool. I did some R&B, some reggae stuff.
You did? So you have like music out?
I do have an album.
Oh,
I know, right? Ups and downs.
Ups and downs.
Yeah.
All right. Did it do well? Did it chart?
No, it didn't.
You put it out independently?
I did.
And this is like, what, early 2000s, so this is like when it was difficult to do.
Yeah, this was a while ago now. Yeah.
This is an ordeal.
Yeah.
It's not like uploading music.
No, it's not at all.
Yeah. Okay, so tell us about that, because, putting music together back then was a project. So what's that like?
I enjoyed being a performing artist. I enjoyed putting together an album. I did some touring. I spent about a month in LA. I did some stuff in Georgia, open for a few artists.
Crowd type thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
How does that feel? Like first time you sang in front of a crowd?
I was always singing in front of a crowd before I pursued a career as an artist. I was always a singer, so I was always doing events, and I didn't really have my own music until I decided.
What were some of the first places you sang?
Oh Lord, church, school, all the places Black people sing. Yeah. My mother just like, sing something for them.
She can sing.
Yeah, she can sing.
Okay, that's dope. But then when you do the music theory, you come back and you hone in on your skill? Like, when do you officially get like vocal coaching? Have you ever done vocal coaching? I
did. I had a little here and there vocal coaching, but I would say most of my vocal coaching was just taking the classes in college and hanging out with better singers than me. When it was like, that's kind of flat. So it was a lot of peer mentoring.
Gotcha. So you said the name of the album is Ups and Downs.
Yeah.
Do you remember what label you put it out with?
Me, I just put it out. I sent it to CD. Was it Disc Maker?
Wow.
Printed it out. Sold them at shows.
Like
expensive.
Wow. Okay.
It was expensive.
How do you even get started? Because it's like this is before Google. So.
Yo, I don't know. I don't know. I didn't know what I was doing, man. I look back now like that was never gonna work. I don't know why you did that, but you needed to do it, right?
Yeah, if you set out to make an album, the album was made. So
it was made, and some people don't get to that.
Yeah, so we never make it that far for sure. Album was made. Is it something that we can still find in stores?
I haven't looked it up in a while.
You gotta redistribute it now.
Yeah. I guess so, right?
Why not?
People definitely still. So when are you coming out with another album? I was like 12 years ago. I don't know.
Why not? It's free money.
Yeah.
Put it up.
It's much simpler. It's a lot cheaper.
For sure. So, like, you did, like, the album cover, and the photo shoot.
I did.
That's ordeal, man. Tell us about that.
I did.
I know what that's like.
I did the music videos. I did everything.
By yourself?
Everything. By myself.
In your early 20s?
In my early 20s.
How is it, like, people are taking you seriously? Like, how is it? Because a lot of times, especially in the early 2000s, like, if you're in your early 20s, they just blew you off. Like, yo.
They definitely did a lot of blowing me off. I used to get this guy to pretend he was my manager. We named him Greg. Yeah, this is like the whole thing. Like, all of my friends were in on it. Like, I have really supportive friends. Shout out to my friends. I have the same friends
Shout
too.
Out to your friends.
Yes. And we did the best that we could. A lot of people took our money. Oh, we're gonna do this. We're gonna put on tour. We're gonna do this, and you live and you learn.
I mean, you guys were a legit production record label when the shit was hard. I mean, at the end of it, you duplicated, you put out a couple more, and you had something.
Yeah.
But shout out to you though, because in your early 20s, dealing with record label people, not being respected, then
at all,
women on top of
at all.
Man, we gotta hear that album.
Yeah, right.
So you put the album out. I'm sure, like, super draining. Once you put the album out, what happens then?
So I wasn't getting a lot of shows, right? So then that's kind of how I transitioned to just putting together my own concerts. Mm-hmm. And then the more I started doing that, the less I started doing music. And I really enjoyed putting together.
What's the venues you've done?
I did. I think my biggest one was like, what was it called back then? Music Hall of Williamsburg or something like that. I think it was.
Williamsburg.
Yeah. That was probably the most expensive. I won't say the most successful, but I will say the most expensive show.
What did you guys do there?
Where or why? Where it was in, I don't know, some place in this hall in Williamsburg, somewhere. I think that's how I met Tim, actually, at that event. We just put some money together. I think back then it was like Votto and Bridget Kelly, I think her name is.
Yeah.
There was some other people who were, popular back then.
Okay. So you put the venue together and it just do well? You break even?
I think that show was terrible, actually. But that was the most effort I put into shows. I've done a lot of other shows before then and after then, but that was probably the most involved. I probably learned the most that day.
What are some things you learned that day?
Yeah. How to be organized and just what the components of a show are and which you have to understand before you do a show, right? So who's coming to the show? Where are you getting these people from? And just making sure that's solid before you just wake up with an idea and no clue how to do it.
So you said you've done shows since then. So what are some of the shows? Have they gotten better? I'd imagine.
They have gotten better. And I've done more events with Prototype Music that we talked about a little earlier. So I do, youth concerts, mostly the shows that I do now.
And youth is what age?
I kind of focus on junior high school, early high school. I feel like everybody has something for the little kids, and college always has their things. But that weird 12-year-old age, they need their own thing. So we do a lot of work with those artists and create events for that age group.
So when do you start Prototype?
Started Prototype Music 2015.
Okay. And what was the inspiration behind that?
I knew that I wanted to continue in music, but I know that I didn't want to be the artist. I know I was good at putting things together, but doing the shows like the one I just spoke about, and that was a disaster, it was very difficult to be the artist and the show producer. You have to pick one, man.
Why then? Because it's 2015, we're talking, you've been doing
years after.
Like 12, 15 years.
Yeah.
So why then do you say, I don't want to be an artist anymore, I'm tired of this?
I think I decided a little bit before that. So a little bit before that is when I went back to school again. I went to Queens College for paralegal studies. And it was a focus on intellectual property. And then I worked an intern at a law firm by World Trade Center for a while with a lawyer named Steve Gordon. And I learned a lot there. I learned more interning for him than I learned at the entire program. And he was, he used to work at Sony, then he opened his own record label. And I just got to interact with, people on a much higher level than I was used to. So I did a lot of learning there. And then by the time I finished that, I'm like, all right, I have this experience. I have that knowledge. What can I do? I know I didn't want to manage adults. I know that was never going to work for me. And there were just a lot of youth around that was like, oh, I want to sing. I want to do this. I want to do that. Oh, my daughter sings at church. She doesn't know what to do. So it kind of just happened naturally. But I started working with younger artists. I think my first artist, her name was Aleeia. She's a big girl now. But we started with her just writing songs, and my friend Rodney. That's who I kind of put together Prototype Music with. And once we started writing music with the kids and, we shot music videos with them. And when I do anything, I do too much of it. I do it all the way. Like, what's all the parts? Let me do all the parts. So we shot music videos. We wrote songs for them, took them to the studio. Then it's like, all right, now we have all this music. What are we going to do with it? So that's when we came up with the Queens Youth Music Festival. And it's an event every summer to showcase youth artists in Queens. So we started that. I think our first one was at Amazura. Then we did, I think we did Amazura 2 years.
And you're showcasing like regular smaller artists? Or?
We did both. We always had kind of like a headliner come in, to make the kids kind of feel like, oh, I'm opening for such and such. And that's when, a lot of these, Instagram stars, and we had Musical.ly. I think that was the app back then. So we would pick all the top kids and fly them in from California. The Nickelodeon kid. Yeah, I have a problem. Yeah.
You don't do that with small.
No, like you can't start like that. Why don't you just start with a talent show? No. So we did all of that, and the kids were excited. We did Amazon 2 years, and we did St. John, and then last year we did City Field.
Okay.
So that was awesome.
Okay. And this is you said a lot there. So flying people in, I feel like there's a lot of jumps here. And
so even before that, I really did leave out a part. When I was maybe 20, 21, 22, I used to do youth talent shows at the elementary school at my house.
Okay.
So it kind of started there too.
Yeah, so I'm you went from being I don't want to be an artist anymore. It's like flying people out. So you're doing the youth talent shows in your house, and I guess that grows into booking venues and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Tell me about your process. So how is it Are you going out and doing talking to people one on one to be yo, you your own personal street team? Are you working with other people, contacts you made with working with Gordon, or it's just those?
Yeah. No, I mean, I try to use all of my contacts, but most of the footwork for Prototype Music was me and Rodney. That was it. We would, I learned how to do graphic design. I make up the flyers, print them out, middle of the night, going to people's house, and 10,000 boxes, 10,000 flyers, and walking up and down and putting them in the mailboxes, and, sending those emails and reaching out to the magazines. It was kind of all us, which does not work.
Well, I mean, I feel like it's the curse of the small business person.
Yeah.
You can't hire out for everything.
Can't afford it.
Mm-hmm. And then you got to understand what's being done. People will take advantage of you.
They sure will.
You know what I mean? So shout out to you. And Rodney is your business partner?
Yeah, for Prototype.
For Prototype. How long you guys been rocking?
I met him when I went to Queensboro, so
college, one of those college friends.
Yeah.
Okay. And then you guys, you approached him with Prototype. He approached you with Prototype.
He used to help me write for my album when I was an artist. So I just naturally went to him, and he is recreational director at the Parks Department. So I know he's a songwriter, and he works with kids. So it was that was the first person I could,
Yeah, okay. And now how does he contribute to Prototype? What's his
songwriter. He's the main songwriter. Yep.
So he helps the kids with song structure, and stuff like that. Oh, okay. And this is Prototype
Music.
Prototype Music. You guys, make sure you guys go check out the website.
There is. Everything's there. You'll find us. Right, Instagram, website.
Prototype Music.
Yeah.
I'll find it.
Yeah.
So, I mean, Prototype Music, let's dial it back a little bit.
Yeah.
You went from being I don't want to be an artist anymore. So at this time, Rodney, working with him, he's your friend. Prototype Music is still an idea in the background. I'm sure personally, what's going on during this time period?
When I started Prototype Music?
Just in general, because I think we just covered 20 years.
We did.
Are you getting married? Are you having kids?
I did that. Yes, okay. I did. I got married in 2013.
Okay.
I also had my son in 2013, later that year.
How long have you and your husband known each other?
2012. So whatever that is, 8 years.
8 years.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. That's what's up.
Yeah, we've been married 7 years.
So, marriage is, how is marriage? Like, tell us about that.
Marriage is great. I like being married. I like my husband. I don't have any complaints with that. No.
You always hear married people say like,
nah.
So you guys like best friends?
Yeah, absolutely.
How'd you guys meet?
Okay. So my parents don't know this, but we did meet online.
Okay.
Yeah, we did. I was like, the real story? All right, go for it.
I feel like
yeah.
Met online.
I mean, yeah, I just won't let them watch this. Actually, my mom knows. My dad doesn't.
Wait, which app?
Okay, Cupid.
Oh, your Okay Cupid is the truth.
Yeah. Oh, shout out to Okay Cupid. Yeah.
Okay. So, tell me about your first date. Okay Cupid dates are the best.
So I reached out to him.
Mm-hmm.
First, when we started talking, our first date, he took me to this weird show. Something. I can't remember the name of it. It was like this weird interactive show where the performance would happen at different points of the room and water would spray if something would happen. It was just this, I didn't know what the show was. I thought somebody's going to bust out naked. I was like, what kind of sex show is this? I didn't know what it was. I didn't get it. And then at the end, I was like, oh, okay, that's it. Okay, good. It was really kind of strange, but it was different, and that's kind of his personality. His interests are different than mine.
Like you knew as soon as you met him, or
no?
Took time.
It did take time. I would say that I didn't know I liked. When you're dating, you just kind of dating. I realized I liked him. I remember we went on a date. I lost my phone, and then he gave me the money for a phone, and I didn't use it. I put the money down and I was like, listen, I don't know this guy that well. I don't want nobody throwing no phone in my face. All right. And it just sounds really weird. So I got the phone eventually. And I had a bad experience in the past with another person, which is why I was a little hesitant to take the phone. He felt bad. We went on a date. So just one day, I don't know what it was. It's the simplest thing, but I'll tell the story anyway. He was just like, you left your phone on the table. And now for most people, that's nothing. Yeah. But from my other bad experience, everything he bought, it was his, right? Yeah. So you left the phone, I bought you on the table. Yeah. That was the experience I was used to. So for whatever reason, when he said that, it was just kind of, I know this is different. And I know it sounds silly. Yeah. But that's what was important to me. And,
What was the proposal like?
Oh, the proposal. So there were 2 proposals.
Wow.
The first proposal was he asked me to be his girlfriend. And I said, I don't want to be anybody's girlfriend if they don't plan on marrying me in the future. And he was like, okay. So then I was like, okay. And then, maybe a couple months later, he did the ring and proposal thing, but we kind of agreed. We never really agreed to be boyfriend and girlfriend. It's kind of like, we went on a couple dates.
And you got married.
We got married.
Would you consider yourself, is that something like, did you see yourself as getting married, like, in that way, or did you?
I was never focused on marriage so much, but I knew I wanted children. And I made that clear pretty early on. And I know most people are like, oh, you're going to scare him away. But I was like, I want to tell him what my plans are.
You knew you wanted kids early on?
Girl, not early on in my life. Early on when we were dating. You know what I mean? I made that kind of pretty clear, that I wanted children. So if I'm going to be with someone, I'd like to have children shortly.
Yeah.
Just so no one's wasting anybody's time. Especially when you meet online, just be honest.
Yeah, you just lay it out.
Yeah, this is
5 years.
Yeah.
What I'm trying to do.
I said the next couple months, actually. I did.
Shout out to your husband.
No, yeah. And
he definitely knew he was ready.
Yeah, he was like, okay, all right.
So you have a baby. Would you say the baby is like, was that a big time in life, knowing that you always wanted kids? Like, tell us about.
Yeah, it was super planned. We intentionally had a child, which I don't know if it makes things easier or not, but at least you knew what was happening. That was huge. I have one son, Janai.
How's motherhood? Tell us about motherhood.
It's great. My son is not so bad. He's a kid, but he doesn't give too much trouble. I'm excited to have him. He's a great kid.
Were you afraid coming into motherhood?
Yeah, of course. It came out of your body and now it's depending on you right away. Yes. A lot of people don't talk about specifically those first couple of days, and how difficult that is. But I have a really supportive family, like I said before. So we kind of all rallied in and we all had a baby.
Yeah, all right together.
Yeah.
I know a lot of people that have kids say like they have a better understanding of their parent once they have kids. That's something that you see now? Sure.
I can say that. I understand when they're like, "Where are you?" And you're like, "Yo, I'm good, relax." So I get it now, how just him hiding behind the couch is like, "Where are you?" It's kind of like I'm playing.
Yeah.
So I do get it.
Have you had any moments with your parents where you sat them down like, "Yo, we had to apologize"? Or
No, I'm not apologizing.
You're not apologizing. I'm not apologizing.
No,
I'm not doing that.
Not doing that.
Okay, all right. So how old is your son now?
He is 6.
Okay, and what's that experience now with this COVID as a parent? Are you planning on sending him back to school?
No, he'll probably stay home. We are lucky enough that we work from home mostly anyway. My husband's job has sent him home indefinitely, and I've always worked from home, so there's no need for him to go back to school.
Okay.
So it's not really something that we have to think about.
Okay. Now your husband, judging by your last name, Tucson, I'm guessing he's Haitian.
Yes, he is.
Is he related to the actual Tucson?
I don't know. You gotta ask him.
Yeah. So how's tell us about him. Like, where's he from?
Yeah, both of his parents are Haitian. He's from East Elmhurst. Yeah, he's from East Elmhurst, so a different part of Queens.
Okay.
So I brought him on down to Southeast Queens.
Okay.
He's great. He works at the Hospital for Special Surgery. He's a system architect.
Okay.
He's been working there for a while before I met him, and yeah, that's it. He moved down to where I was living in Springfield Gardens.
You guys kind of hit it off immediately.
We did. I hope he feels the same way. But right? No, we did.
Did your parents like him?
Yes, right away. He did all of the super cheesy TV stuff that he knew would work. Like, he went to my mother with flowers. Like, I would like to marry your daughter. And then my mother is a very stern, strict Jamaican woman that you can't break. And he did it. He broke her. You know what I mean? He came with his bottle of Ciroc and orange roses, her 2 favorite things. Okay. And that was it. And, the same with my father.
Was your father, was your father, welcoming as your mom?
Absolutely. I never really introduced my dad to any men I was dating. So we pulled up to my house, and I had to go get something inside. And Steve took it upon himself to come out of the car. And my dad was watering the grass. Like, "Hello, I'm dating your daughter and I just want to come out and meet you. And, I work here and I do that. And I love school. I love education." And that was it. That was it. He said all the right things.
That's what's up.
Yeah.
That's good. It's good that you didn't have to deal with any tension.
Not at all.
Everybody was happy.
Everybody was happy.
Away at the wedding.
Yep.
You guys had a big wedding?
No, we didn't have a big wedding. We went to City Hall and then we had a big barbecue in the backyard.
Okay. With DJ and all that.
With DJ and all that. We had a band.
Oh,
yeah, we had a band, and then after the first hour, we went to the DJ.
Okay. So now, you guys have been married a few years now. You have one son. How does your husband feel about your aspirations? Is he 100% on board?
He's super supportive, man. He doesn't really, it requires a lot of flexibility to kind of do what, to be the partner in doing what I'm doing. And he's down for it. He doesn't really complain. It gets hectic sometimes, but he's 100% supportive.
How are you guys managing, especially with Blaque Resource, with everything you're doing with Prototype? How are you guys managing? And then having a son on top of that.
Yeah.
How are you guys managing the schedule, the relationship, couples time?
Yeah. You have to just be very intentional about the time that I have to stop. Everything else will be okay. Let me spend time with my husband. And we used to vacation a lot, and that used to be the time out for sure. But obviously this year we weren't able to do that. I'm supposed to be in Portugal right now, and I'm not I'm in Jamaica. It's a good question. I'm not the trip planner, but I knew I was going to Portugal for 2 weeks and I wasn't going to be here.
How you feel about that? Is that something like, were you able to get your tickets back and everything?
Yeah, we were. Yeah. We had a cruise planned for the fall, and we had Portugal planned for our anniversary.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I mean, we've covered a lot of time in your life here. A lot of wins. Tell us about some of your biggest L's.
I think we talked about the L's, but I mean, I'll go back and talk about them. I mean, you know, it's not fair to say my music career was an L.
I didn't see it as an L.
Right. And I mean, it's kind of like, then if you don't see that as an L, then I can't say that I have L's to talk about then. Because you have to kind of find, I don't think anything I did was like a complete waste of time and I got nothing from it.
So, and outside, you said you had the party event that you did that you felt like was a total wash.
Yeah.
But outside of that, what are some of the things that made you sit back and say, oh shit, let me really think about what I'm doing here? Like, you ever take on something and just be like, this is a lot. Hold on a second.
No.
So you're a special type of person.
No.
You're a special type of person.
No.
Right? I would imagine, like, your husband, is he the type of person also that takes on these big
No.
tasks?
No. He's much more structured than I am.
Okay.
Which is why it works.
So he gives you kind of like that process.
Listen.
Like, yo, this come first.
Yes. And I'm not like that at all.
Yeah, you just want to jump out and do it all.
Yes.
That's what's up. I mean, it's great that you guys have found like that medium to where like you can work together.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I definitely didn't see your music career as being an L.
No, it's not fair to say it's an L because there's a lot of people that gave their all to make that happen. So it's not really fair for me to say it's an L.
It definitely learn from it,
right,
move from it,
right,
and you're still pursuing it, just
in different ways. Yeah,
so, for sure. I mean, you have a really good way of like taking situations and listening to you talk about Jackson and Van and college and like situations that a lot of people would say like it's a really bad situation. You flipped it and made it like, yo, it's gonna work.
It's gonna work out. Yeah.
Even with online dating, like you got married on.
I did.
Y'all talk about, but
it worked
for me. Yeah. You know what I mean? So that's definitely an attitude. What do you think? You think you've always been like that? Do you think life has made you like that?
Have I always been like that? I probably have always been like that. I'm the same person I was at 9 years old for the most part. You know, I've been doing events since I was 9 years old. You know, it started with inviting my friends to the backyard and charging them and me writing the song and singing it. Like, I've just been the same person.
Back in the day to come in here.
I did. I used to season burgers, cook them up, charge people. I used to write songs. My friends come over, we practice a dance.
Oh,
yes. So, I mean, I've been doing this the whole time.
That's what's up. So you would say you've been living in your truth since you were like 9 years
old? I think so.
Which one of your parents you say you're most like?
That's hard to say. I'm very much like both of my parents, and that's something I realized more so now. My mother is really, really good at making friends, and I think I'm pretty good at making and keeping friends. And I think I'm pretty good at that as well because I do look to her example like, no, you know, friends are important. They're an important part of your life. They're an extension of your family. So I think I get that from my mother. And my father does not give up. Like, he is really good at, this doesn't work, reinvent it. This doesn't work, reinvent it. This doesn't work, reinvent it. So I would say I get that from him.
Now looking at your son, do you see, is your son more like you, more like your husband? Is your son taking, what are some of the things that you see your husband, you say your husband's very process oriented, so you understand how to, do you see that more in your son?
I see that in him a lot. But, you know, when I hear him say, well, what do you want me to do? Well, I want to be a singer. Yeah. And I'm like, you don't even sing. You don't sing anything. But, you know, so, you know, that's how children are. They kind of take from
Are you
from
coaching
everything.
him now and encouraging that?
Yeah, he's taking music classes now. He's taking music theory.
Okay.
And he plays the ukulele.
You talk a lot about work. You Capricorn?
Nope.
You know, you say Capricorns. You know, I'm a Capricorn. I always talk about work.
I like work.
I love work.
I like work.
So, but, you know, other people are going to be like, what she does for fun.
Yeah.
So,
no, I do work. I do work for fun, man.
You do work for
like,
fun?
I'm not even going to lie. Like, everyone knows that if I'm coming over and we drinking and we planning something, I'm not coming over to watch TV.
Legit.
It's not happening. I don't do that.
Ever since you was young.
That's it. All of my friends can tell you. Shout out to Letitia, because she's the only person that puts up with it. I'm always planning something. That's what brings me joy.
Do you work out? Do you run? Multi?
Not consistently. I'll get on the gym thing for a while, and
so
I plan.
You just focus on where you plan events.
I do.
You're a superhero for events.
That is all I do. I have a bike-a-thon tomorrow, so yes.
Okay. Tell us about the bike-a-thon.
Sure, yeah. We're doing a bike-a-thon. It starts at York College. I guess by the time this comes out, it'll be over. So, little back when I did a bike-a-thon. It starts at York College. It is, for the beginners, it's 3.3 miles. Experience is 6.6. We are raising money to give 10 seed grants to young entrepreneurs, so high school and college age entrepreneurs. So it's just a rally against economic injustice. Okay. We got a bunch of riders coming out. It should be fun.
Well, yeah, right?
Yeah.
What's the inspiration? Are you a biker outside of this? Or?
Yeah, I'm not. It was a friend of mine, Tim, just had this random idea, and then it started happening. We put up a flyer, and people started registering. So it's like, we have to do it now.
Oh yeah.
But it's going pretty well. It's going way better than I initially expected.
Okay. It's listening to you, like, Colorado. You go out to Colorado to do the performance art thing, and you really come back and start like doing a lot of community work and people work. Where does Aleeia see herself like when you're in your 60s, right? What is something? Matter of fact, no, it's not your 60s. What is something that let's do two questions.
All right, okay, I'm here for it.
That you would tell your younger self now, like as a woman now, you're talking to your 16-year-old self, and you're having that conversation. And if you're looking at your 60-year-old self, what are some of the things that you're hoping some of the places you're hoping she's going to be at by that time? Some of the things you would tell her.
Again, I don't think there's anything that I can tell her. I don't think there's too much I'd like to change. There were periods in my life that I'm not as happy with, but because I'm really happy with my life right now, I don't know that there's much I would want to change between that.
Even outside of changing, some of the things that you might understand better as an adult, that if you could go back and be like, well, you don't really get this now, but let me explain X, Y, Z.
I do wish I did better in school. I did horrible, and I'm not even dumb. I just did horrible in school. I wish I focused on that more and got college out the way a little earlier.
Do you think that, seeing where you are now, would it have really made a difference?
Right. Right. She's good.
Yeah.
She's good. She let her mess up. She's all right.
Is that a model you feel like you're going to take with your son too? Like, just kind of like let him figure it out, not putting pressure on him to take any specific field?
You have to kind of guide kids and introduce them to a lot of different things so they know what they're like. But my overall philosophy in life is I don't pay so much attention to the things I'm bad at and trying to fix them. Unless it's hurting someone, of course, there are exceptions to that rule. I spend more time focusing on the things I'm good at and trying to just get better at it, because you're always going to be bad at something. So I can't really chase that. I think I'm not organized, and it's like, okay, I'm gonna try to get organized, but then I'm not spending that on planning events, right? I'm spending that on this. So get somebody else to be organized, like my husband, right? Or pay someone, So I'm gonna try to teach him that, like, don't beat yourself up at the things you're not good at, with some exceptions, right?
What's some of the exceptions?
Like, I can't tell the truth. I'm just a liar. I'm just going to accept that. You know what I mean? Like, come on, like certain things. All right. You know what I mean? It's illegal things or something like that. But for the most part, if you're just an overall good person with a goal, and if, I'm just lazy, there's nothing I could do about it, that's not going to work. But like I said, if you have a vision, you have a goal, and you're a good person, you try to push yourself on the things that you're good at.
Okay.
It's just easier.
I feel like that's a good model. Like, not focus on the things you don't do well too much.
Yeah, it's like I'm not good at, it's tons of, you know what I mean? Like, I'm not gonna try to figure that out.
Mm-hmm. And I noticed that, in coming to see you and seeing you work, you do really well at using your resources. So like you know who's good at what,
yeah,
and you're able to like pinpoint like, yo, you do that. That's your thing. You go ahead and do that.
yeah.
How did you learn that? Like, is that something that you feel like you said your mom was really good with making friends and keeping friends?
Yeah.
You think that's something that you've learned from her over the years?
Sure. Just growing up, my mother did, a lot of different events and organizations with her friends, similar to what I'm doing now. And I've just kind of always saw that as a model. So I used to sit in their meetings and, kind of things like that with them. So yes, I'd say I got that from my mother and her friends.
Does she have any like sayings or things that you remember? Like whenever you're going through a hard time, like is there anything that you think about your mom did? Like, be like, oh man, that gives you strength? Anything that he did that gives you strength?
No.
Shut up. I'm good.
Not really. No, I just call them.
You just call?
Yeah.
Okay.
I talk to my parents a lot.
Okay, so you say you constantly communicate with them.
I talk to my parents multiple times a day, every day.
That's cool.
It's okay.
Yes. Why not? Why would they your parents?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. So in talking to your parents a lot, you say your parents are one of your biggest supporters?
Absolutely, 100%.
They still advise you on your day-to-day activities?
Listen, both of my parents are coming to the bike-a-thon tomorrow, and neither one of them ride no bike. But they'll be there. They'll be there.
Okay.
That's just how they are.
That's what's up. Yeah, that's really dope. It's really good to have supportive parents. Like
I do. I couldn't do any of this without my supportive parents. Like that's my secret sauce.
Yeah. And they've always been like that since you were a child. So you say your father moved from the Bronx to right next to the van? For the
most part, I will say that they were more like that when I became an adult and I became more focused. But that's probably me because I didn't have focus before. Mm-hmm. But the minute I decided there was something I wanted to do, they were on board.
How are his grandparents now?
They're great. He could do whatever he wants, much more than I could. They're great.
Is it really? Were you good with your grandparents? Were they around?
Yeah.
Are they still around?
I have a grandmother that's still alive. Yeah.
Wow. Is your son? Does he ever?
Absolutely.
That's a blessing.
Absolutely.
Any stories and tidbits from that generation that really gravitated towards you? Where you could be like, "Dang, great grandmother was a warrior," or something like that.
No.
Yeah. I hate. Yeah, I'm sure you didn't do this all by yourself, though.
No.
You're going to leave here and be like,
I should have told that story.
Yeah.
I don't know what that story is.
That's cool, though. I mean, having that support, like having your parents around, having your grandparents around.
Yeah.
And you think, looking at it now, like, in the situation that you're in, really, you can do whatever you want. So what are some of your like out of this world dreams? Like things that you think about and just like, I'd love to do it, but that's just out of this world.
I don't know the answer to that. And I know most people expect me to have the answer to that because I look like I have these big dreams. But I am a short-term vision person, right? I know what I want to do next year. I don't know what I want to do in maybe 5 years I know, but maybe beyond that. I'm not sure.
So what are Aleeia's current dreams? What are the things you dream about now?
Well, right now, most of my focus is Black Resource Network and seeing that become much larger. I'd love that to be, I'd love us to own property. I'd love it to be a Black resource center and be a nice anchor organization in the community and serve that purpose for them. When I started Black Resource Network, I didn't imagine what it is now. It was just kind of another idea that I threw out. I do it all the time. But this one, for whatever reason, just kind of really stuck and is much bigger than me even. And I'm really excited to see that.
Yeah. You guys are doing amazing things, Black Resource Network. You made a good point about wanting to buy a property. Do you want to, we talked about it a little bit earlier off mic, but do you want to talk about some of the ideas that you have and how we can get together and buy a property?
What do you mean? I'm sorry.
Like, just as far as the idea of like pooling money together?
Yeah, it has to be crowdfunded. I wouldn't want to do it with government funds. I have to look into that a little bit more. I'd love it to be something the community kind of comes together and is able to fund on its own, because it's being done other places. We have money. We can do it.
So how do you see that fully being implemented? Do you see the community coming together to buy a building and then saying like, all right, this is going to be a community center, or?
Yeah, something like that. It should be a multi-purpose space. I'd love there to be a test kitchen in there. I'd love there to be a space that can be pop-up shops. I'd love it to be a true co-working space, not just shared office space, but a true co-working community in that space. And of course, there's going to be music events and arts and culture events. Yeah. So that's kind of the space. That's what my vision is for it. A small business center. It can operate as a few different things, because that's kind of what the Black Resource Network is.
Mm-hmm. So, in saying that, you don't do long-term dreams, so I'm assuming this is something you want to do the next couple of years or so.
Yeah, I would say maybe like 2 years tops.
Yeah.
This is now. This is what needs to be done. Yeah. No, this is now.
This is not for like 20 years from now.
This is because that's why I don't know how to do that. It's kind of like, well, what do you want to do? Well, then do it. It might take me 10 years to get there, but it's never my 10-year vision. Is I want to do now.
So outside of the Black Resource Network, right?
Yeah.
You have that going. Anything in your personal life that you would say, like, any kind of big aspirations that you're trying to do on a personal side?
No, Black Resource Network takes up all of my time.
You know what? You are definitely a CEO, because they say, like, for people with startups and things, it's like a 24/7.
Yeah, there's no plan B. There's no anything else.
There's nothing else.
There's nothing else.
Like,
I don't know anything else.
You don't know the main news.
I don't know.
You know what you got going on in front.
That's it. I dedicate everything to it.
And shout out to you. I definitely. And what I was saying to you earlier, one of the first times I met you, I noticed like how good you are at commanding a room, and how your team really believes in you.
They do.
That belief that I saw. I mean, I'm asking you, number one, do you think like they believe you? Do you feel that also?
They do, man, and it's thank you for them, because I can't do this by myself, and they trust me, and it's a heavy burden, but I have to be grateful for it, because, I'm glad that it makes sense to somebody else. Sometimes you have these ideas and you can't get people to buy in. It's kind of like, it's not as important to them, but I don't really have that problem with my main team. They get it and they're here for it and they trust my leadership.
What are some of the things that you guys are discussing in the next 6 months that team wants to do, like any major projects that you can talk about?
Oh yeah, we need to do this crowdfund campaign for this building.
Oh yeah,
yeah. So we're planning a telethon for the fall, to really raise some serious capital and get this going.
Outside of the telethon, is there anything else that people listening or watching can do? Do you need any lawyers, accountants, CPAs? We do need an accountant, because I'd like this Black Resource Network to kind of have a few parts, right? So we filed our nonprofit, then we need to figure out this LLC to be able to make money, that we can turn this into jobs for ourselves, and I can be able to pay people properly outside of the nonprofit. And then I'd love a political arm, and we can do some lobbying and things like that. So I need to figure out how all of this works together. So somebody, if you know, reach out to Aleeia Abraham to help me figure all of this. And what's your contact info? Out.
You can just email me, AleeiaAbraham@gmail.com, ALEEIA.
Well, Aleeia, you have a lot going on, which I appreciate. You also have a lot going on. I think it's one of those things like, I wake up and there's nothing else I think about. Like, I wake
nothing.
up and go to bed,
Wake up in the middle of the night, like.
Yeah, you check it.
Yeah.
It really is. And I can understand how when you see people when they have like successful companies and they become so attached to it, because it's like, I get it. It does become like a kid.
It is.
Like, you spend so much time, blood, sweat, and tears. Like, you hear that cliche statement, but when you start giving up the blood, sweat, and tears,
you like, blood check, sweat check, yeah, got those, yeah,
for sure. What are some of the things with COVID? I feel like the old guard is changing, right?
Yeah.
What are some of the things that you see as somebody that, as an expert in the music industry and music business? Where do you see the business going? Where do you see a prototype? How is prototype going to fit in this new music market, and how are you positioning yourself to be like that person?
Yeah, and that's what I'm trying to figure out too. You know, I see everyone is trying to transform to this virtual world, but it's a little bit harder to do that with kids' entertainment, and I haven't seen it done successfully yet. I don't know if it exists, but I haven't seen it done. I see other people doing the live concerts and things like that. I don't know how to transition this to make it interactive for kids. You know, kids kind of need we used to have exhibits at the events and they meet the artists. So I'm still learning how I can now take Prototype into this new virtual world effectively. So I'm still in that process.
So this is another thing where people have ideas they can reach out to you about?
Please do. Please do, because everybody's like, what happened to Queens Music Festival? You're not doing it this year? And I'm like, how? I don't know how. I mean, I'm going to do something much smaller, virtual, but it won't replace the event.
With the Queens Music Festival, is that something where if you had other people to maybe take up some of the work, so like you can parse out the work, is like, what's stopping you from being able to do that right now? Yeah. Sounds like you have 100 million things.
No, yeah, I would love to get some more people involved in that, and I need to revive that in the new world a bit and get some people to help me figure that out.
Well, you guys heard it first.
Yeah.
Shout out to Aleeia. Now, finally, I think
sure.
Throughout this time period, like I feel like we're emerging as our generation specifically, like we're taking the torch, right?
Yeah.
So we spent the last, let's say, 10, 15 years as what these call us? Young adults.
Yeah.
Right? And now
it's over.
Young associated with us.
It's over. It's over. Like
they get a young son.
No.
Yeah, they're no more young. So, do you see yourself now as a community leader? I mean, with everything that you've said, you have over 15 years of work you've been doing in the community, whether it be with Prototype, whether it be just your own work that you're doing with kids, the work that you're doing now with the Black Resource Network. Do you see yourself as a community leader, as an activist, as a prominent person in the community?
I mean, I suppose so. That kind of title has been given to me more recently. So, yes, I accept it.
Of course, man.
Yeah.
You put a lot of work in.
Yeah. It's so hard for me because for me, I've been doing the same thing I've been doing. And then all of a sudden, 6 months ago, it's your community. I'm not doing anything different. Which is why it worked, because I just took all the different, for Black Resource Network, I took all the different areas of my life and just put them together. And they was like, oh, you know her, you know him, or you know, okay. Because people couldn't see it all in one place.
I'm glad they're noticing you after all this time,
I'm not doing anything different. I'm working the same amount of hours. I'm working just as hard. I'm emailing the same people. It's just now they're answering me back.
That's good.
I guess it is good.
What's been your proudest moment? Like, as you sit here, what can you say has been the moment where you sat back and was like, oh man, that was really nice. That was dope.
My proudest moment. Top 3. Obviously when I have my first child, my only child.
I was hoping you was going to say that. I hope she said it.
Of course. That's an easy one.
Okay.
My second proudest moment was when I first heard a song that, I was performing on the radio. That was an awesome moment. Yeah, it was. It was from that same album. We're talking about, yeah.
Do you remember the name of the song?
Ups and Downs is the name of the song. It was the single from the album. Yeah, so that was good. Yeah, it did. It was on High 97.
Oh,
yeah.
That's what's up.
So that was good. That was a great moment. My third greatest moment is when I realized the power of the Black Resource Network, when we did the march and I filmed it and it ended up on CNN and Good Day Australia and Japan and all that. When I really saw the power of Black people in Queens, that was a very proud moment.
How did you feel? Like, in that moment, how were you feeling?
I didn't even understand really, because I didn't get the reach. You know what I mean? Like, I filmed it in the group, and they just shared it so much that, you know, the video has millions upon millions of views right from our little Black Resource Network in Queens. So just to see the power, so they can see it themselves, like, look what we can do when we all do the same thing at the same time, one sound, one band, share it out, and look what we can do.
How does it feel seeing yourself though? Like, cause you're like, even like with that moment you guys had, which is amazing, but I've been seeing you pop up just all over the place.
Yeah.
How is it now? Like, cause like you're becoming like a pseudo celebrity. You laugh, but legit. Like, you're like a pseudo celebrity. Like you're coming up the ranks there. How does that feel? Like, how does it feel being? Have you been recognized yet? Are you at a moment now when you walk outside and people are like, "Yo, Aleeia," you're like, "Oh shit, who's that?"
I mean, yeah. yeah. It is interesting, you know. Yes, I go to the mall and I'm gonna see somebody that I know. It's never gonna fail. I'm gonna go out on Merrick.
With the group now.
Yeah.
A lot of people that know you might not know them.
Absolutely. I walked into the fish market the other day and there was a guy in there and he was talking to the lady and he was like, "This is the lady who told me to come here. This is her. And I'm just like,
you're like, okay,
yeah. But it's awesome. And I like the power that we're using it to help the small businesses, because that's most of what we do in the Black Resource Network. So I really like that. So it's
responsible to small business.
Oh, it's great. You know what I mean?
They're like a little gang themselves.
Yeah. Yeah.
They know each other.
But we've been pushing that small business thing hard, and we've just made shopping Black cool. You know what I mean? Like, people are excited to be like, let me shop Black so I can take a picture and put it in a group so everybody can press like. You know what I mean? And that's great.
Yeah.
So I'm glad it's making somebody money. So I think that's the best part for me, to see the power of the group. And somebody could be like, if Aleeia posts about my cookie, I'm going to make thousands of dollars. Yeah. You know what I mean? I love that I can help that.
With you saying that, it's a good point you make, because this is really the model that all major advertisers.
Yeah.
The idea that you have a platform now that can really turn dollars.
Yes.
Is that a form that you're looking at? These business owners trying to like pay you, or are they looking to?
They're not paying me. I don't even get no free food. I can't even get no jerk wings. But that doesn't stop me from doing it, because no. And right now it's hard. Like, businesses aren't making any money right now. You know, I feel good that they're making money. I feel good going in there and seeing people from Black Resource Network in there store. I'm like, I did that.
I mean, you can't say it, but I'll say it. You know, you guys are making money on this moment. You know what I'm saying? Throw a couple dollars.
Listen, buy tickets to the virtual gala. That would be great. Take out an ad.
And throw her a couple dollars. You know, what's your Cash App?
My Cash App?
Yeah.
I'm not giving my Cash App.
But no, I mean, you're doing what you're doing with Black Resource, and how you're able to highlight these businesses, and the fact that your advertisements are turning to dollars.
Yeah.
This is it. This is the model that all these major advertisers use. If I was a Best Buy or whatever, we're looking to have those conversations. So I'm hoping, I mean, we're not going to air anybody out, but I'm hoping that the people that listen to this can see the work that you put in, the work that you've done over the last 15, 20 years, and the work that you've already committed to doing, regardless of whether they pay you or not. Yeah. You've already committed to doing the work. Yeah. So come on, Black people. You know what I mean? If you want more Aleeias to pop out, if you want Aleeia to stick around and keep food on the table, throw this woman some money. You know what I mean? Throw her some cash. And she ain't paying me for this. You know,
I'm not paying nobody. You don't gotta.
Trust me. This is not planned. She didn't ask me. I'm just listening to you tell it. I think you deserve it.
Thank you.
You know, I think Black Resource deserves it.
Yeah.
You know? And, you know, I see the work that you do outside of the post and everything. Like, it is a lot of work. It's a lot of work to have these conferences, to do these protests, these rallies, and you're not paying anybody. Yeah. And if we want to keep this going, y'all pay some money. So.
Yeah, I mean, it does take resources. It takes money to do anything.
Sure. I mean, time away from your family. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? It's a real commitment.
Yeah.
And I do want to take the time out to applaud you as a community leader.
Yeah, thank you.
I think you're there's a lot of people in Southeast Queens. No, actually not. It's like a small community of people in Southeast Queens. Yeah. And they're getting older.
Yeah.
And I'm hoping to see you replace some of these guardians.
Well, I don't like to say replace, right? Because we still need them.
We still need them.
We gotta all kind of work together
There should be a transition
as much as you
like
can. Okay.
A left seat, right seat, a hand holding.
Yeah.
But ultimately, I mean, one day you're gonna have to give your seat up too.
Yeah.
It's life.
Yeah, it is. It is.
But you're putting the work in. You know, you're out here doing the do.
Mm-hmm.
Why not?
Yeah. All right. I'm with it.
You want to send us off with some final comments?
Sure. Thank you so much for having me today. I enjoyed my talk. This is my first interview just about me and who I am. You made me think and reflect about some great moments and some L's in my life. So thank you for that. And for everybody else, if you're a Black person in Queens, join the Black Resource Network. We have our virtual gala coming up. August 15th, go buy some tickets, and tickets $10, or you can get the deluxe pack for $50, and we include some meals and merchandise from some Black-owned businesses in the community. So you help support Black Resource Network, you help supporting us, and in general, just follow us, support us if you can, either by your presence, by attending virtual events, by attending in-person events, or by giving some money, because we're only able to do this with money, and there's a lot of things we do in the community. So in order to keep going,
how can you donate?
They can donate our PayPal, blackresourcenetwork@gmail.com is the easiest way to donate. Go on our website, www.blackresourcenetwork, BLAQUE. BLA is for Black, QUE is for Queens. Queens, New York, not women. I don't know. Sometimes people get confused with that. Women are in it, but it doesn't stand for women. So do that. Come out, support. If you can't do any of that, share it. Share the content. Sharing works. So it's really easy to support us.
Black Resource Network is for everybody, not just for business owners.
No, not at all. It's not for business owners. It's really to kind of help business owners get to the consumer. So consumers are a huge part of this, and being able to test product and test ideas and really have the community talk to each other, and political leaders are in there, and organizations and parents, and, we have a book club, we have a vegan group, we kind of break off into smaller, we break off into smaller interest groups as well. This is for the only criteria is to be Black and from Queens. You can move out of Queens. Like, we have one lady that's in Egypt, but she's from Queens, so she's a part of the group. So it's a way for people who've moved as well to stay connected to Queens.
Okay. It's been great having you.
Yeah.
Thank you for coming.
Yay.
I appreciate you, Aleeia Abraham.
Yeah. Yes.
I appreciate Black Resource Network.
Yeah.
Conceitednobodi.
Yeah.
And we out.
Conceitednobodi.